You pretty much are. I'd agree with you. I mean, they are moving in that direction.
And the whole, I mean, you can see the whole economy, not the economy, but the way technology, I should say, is moving. You can pay bills online, so it takes a lot of the business away from the post office. Instead of getting a flyer, an advertisement in the Sunday paper, you can go online and check the business's website and get the flyer electronically. So the post office is changing with the times. I mean, they either are going to change with the times, or they're going to have a lot less business than they had a few years ago.
Yeah, definitely agree. But thank you very much. And
well, thank you, Josh.
I'm glad you came. And thank you. And if you'd like to shout out your website again.
Sure. It's www.voteforrob.org. And I appreciate your everybody that's watching tonight. Please visit my website. Good night, everyone.
So that was Rob McCarthy Jr. He's running in this district for the Congress, the 6th District of Massachusetts. So go check him out. You can find him on Twitter at Rob McCarthy Jr. Or he also has email and a website set up. It's voteforrob.org. Email him if you feel like at rob@voteforrob.org. So let's jump back to the usual currency of democracy stuff. Let's talk about minimum wage. A lot of people believe that the minimum wage is great for people, and you know it bumps up people that would be paid pretty poorly so that they can feed their family, that kind of thing. But think about it. A business, if they wanted to pay like 4 employees, and you know they needed 4 workers, but they only had money to pay like 2 people because of the minimum wage. That's actually going to hinder the middle class, believe it or not, because if you only can pay for so many people, then more people are unemployed. And this is the problem with economics right here. You know, our unemployment rate is at about 10%, U3 numbers at least. U6 numbers are around 17%, 18%. And this is a big reason why. It's not the only reason why, obviously, but this is a big factor. So the idea is, if people can contract their wages at their own rates, then it's actually better. It's more free for one thing, but it's actually better for the middle class and the lower class as well. So this is the argument to a minimum wage. I'll talk about this more in depth in the live segment again. And there was another idea that was brought up to me. There's the idea in Michigan that people in Michigan, or the state of Michigan, doesn't want to pay filmmakers, film producers for certain movies. They don't want to subsidize that. And the right side of the debate believes that it's wrong for this kind of movie because it's a thriller, and we're talking about cannibalism, you know, almost like a, you know, I can't think of the name of the movie right now, but I'm sure, or Hannibal, you know, those kinds of movies. So the right side of the debate is more like this doesn't help the, you know, this isn't very family oriented, so it shouldn't be done. The left side of the debate is like, well, that's hindering free speech. And I see both of those arguments, but the real question in a libertarian sense is like, should we actually be subsidizing films in the first place? All states shouldn't be doing this because this is just taking money out of taxpayers and all this other stuff. So I'll get into that as well in the next live segment. Welcome back, everybody. So let's talk about the minimum wage, the idea that it's actually bad economics. It's really bad for people under, you know, under the poverty level. People believe that it's actually better to have a minimum wage in order to live. And I can understand that. 2 points though. A, you could get 2 jobs. B, you don't have, you're not out of a job, if, you were to get rid of the minimum wage. The whole thing is it would stabilize people. I know it sounds ridiculous, but take a look at an intro to economics book. It's really kind of simple, actually. It actually helps people. People have a job, and that's the real key, is you need a job. Well, and you might be hurting for a little bit, but you can always get a second job, just like we do right now. So that's the argument. You got to get rid of the minimum wage. Anyway. So the minimum wage was first started in Massachusetts in the 1900s, believe it or not. We didn't have a minimum wage until the federal, or I think it was a couple years before the Federal Reserve was enacted. So that whole time, 1787 all the way up until 19 something, 100 years, we didn't have a minimum wage. Were people mad about it? Well, probably, obviously, but there were no riots or anything. There were a couple riots against certain businesses, though. I'll take that back. Standard Oil, it was presented to me, and the sweatshops in Lowell. Figures it has to be Lowell. I live there, but that kind of thing. But it's not. These were specific businesses that were underpaying. Like, everybody could argue that they were underpaying, and the whole thing is, the argument about the minimum wage is that you be free to contract. Kids would actually be able to work even for less, but at least they'd be working. They'd get into the market, and so it's more variety, more economical. The markets are open, and it doesn't hinder businesses as it does. That's the argument. I also forget the other thing that I was talking about on the video. Well, whatever. Let's move on to something else. So yeah, Mr. McCarthy and myself, we were just talking about the post office and how it is becoming more like a business, which is good. They're becoming more centered on profit and acting like a business, and which means that they will be more responsible, and that's the point, as opposed to just plain out price fixing and not allowing other businesses to compete with it, and that sector of the government will collapse and all this other stuff. So the more it acts responsibly, that's good. Where my thing is that we aren't talking about first-class mail. UPS doesn't do that. FedEx doesn't do it. Or whatever. You're not allowed to send postcard or letters. Wow, I can think right now. So you're not able to do that with UPS and FedEx. But this is the way that it stays in business, the post office, is that because it still has a monopoly on something, it's still around. If it were privatized, I think that USPS would, go under.